Chapter 2206, Fighting Over Eternal Life. Fang Yuan's eyelids twitched. The other pseudo-venerables' hearts sank heavily. On the contrary, the morale of Heavenly Court's immortals surged. Fang Yuan lost Zhan Budu, one of his main clones. Zhan Budu's immortal aperture was also quickly absorbed by the crazed demon formation. But fortunately, under the control of Zhan Budu's will, his various immortal goo were sent in time to treasure Yellow Heaven. However, Black Fire was still wreaking havoc in the sovereign immortal aperture. Giant Sun, immortal venerable, attacked once again. Fang Yuan clenched his teeth as he ordered the Qi-Si clone to block the calamity. Qi-Si clone did not have tough body like Zhan Budu. His death was certain. Against Giant Sun, immortal venerable's attack. But Fang Yuan could only choose to sacrifice this clone to protect himself. However, at the next moment, starry paths shook and twisted, forming an azure sphere that trapped Qi-Si ancestor. Giant Sun, immortal venerable, was caught unprepared. His killer move bombarded the starry path sphere and destroyed it instantly. Giant Sun, immortal venerable, turned around to look at star constellation, immortal venerable. The latter heaved aside Lu Wei-in, and the rest spirits shook. This was the first lapse in the cooperation of the two venerables. This was really fortunate. Qi-Si clone managed to escape death. He continued to protect Fang Yuan by his side. The situation in the sovereign immortal aperture had only turned slightly better. As long as Fang Yuan let go of his control by even a slight bit, the situation would erupt again, and the whole immortal aperture would face destruction. A huge sound rang as the void shook. Crazed Demon Cave's 8th layer disappeared completely. The final merged great world turned into nothingness, and countless living beings became sacrificial offerings. The door of life and death with the immortal graveyard flew away. They were stored by star constellation immortal venerable in her immortal aperture. Crazed Demon Cave had a total of 9 layers. The first 7 layers were swept clean by Fang Yuan. The 8th layer was completely gone. Only the final 9th layer remained. And in the crazed demon formation in the center of the 9th layer, only the final truthful floating ice piece remained. The 3 crazed demon eccentrics were on the floating ice. They were activating practice goo together, like they were carving the final part. Seeing this scene, the immortals felt their minds shake, while Fang Yuan silently let out a sigh of relief. The danger had passed. He had finally passed the most difficult time. Indeed, like Fang Yuan expected, star constellation immortal venerable and Giant Sun immortal venerable did not attack him anymore. Both stopped on their spots, looking at each other. The atmosphere changed subtly. The two venerables had allied to get rid of the pseudo-venerables. But Fang Yuan used every method he could to hold onto his last breath. The venerables' plan had failed. Right now, the eternal life research results were already close to completion. The most important thing now was to seize these results. Whoever tangled with those pseudo-venerables would be giving the other venerable a chance. Success. We succeeded. The 3 eccentrics slumped on the ground, shouting hoarsely and excitedly. Immortal killer move. Luck gamble. The 2 venerables' stalemate lasted for a while. When Qin Ding Ling came out of the starry paths, she used the killer move once again, targeting Giant Sun immortal venerable. Almost at the same time, Golden Hooped Great Immortal appeared again, using his golden hoop to trap Giant Sun immortal venerable. Compared to Giant Sun immortal venerable, star constellation immortal venerable clearly held the upper hand. As long as Giant Sun immortal venerable was struck by these methods, his combat system's foundation would be hit, and he would fall into a disadvantage. Even if he were to not be hit, he would have to slow down for a while to deal with Qin Ding Ling and Golden Hooped Great Immortal. With just those few minutes of advantage, star constellation immortal venerable might be able to last until the end and seize the eternal life research results. However, right at this time, Giant Sun immortal venerable smiled. Star constellation, you have good methods, but you seem to have forgotten something? At the next moment, a rank 8 immortal goo house suddenly shone brightly. Most of the void in the 9th layer was filled with this light. It was Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace. This immortal goo house was already placed in the crazed demon formation by Giant Sun immortal venerable. Giant Sun immortal venerable had used this to break out of the trap. Fang Yuan and others had also escaped alongside him. From that moment onwards, This immortal goo house had been comprehending the crazed demon formation's workings until it was shaken off. Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace was not a piece of truthful floating ice after all. After it was thrown out, it hid deeply, and even star constellation Immortal Venerable seemed to have failed to sense it. Lux Suppression Heavenly Palace was not simple. It had comprehended crazed demon formation's workings and was compatible with this world. Right now, it was activated by Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. It immediately affected the crazed demon formation and caused unrest in limitless chains. The star constellation chessboard formation that star constellation Immortal Venerable arranged had forcefully merged with limitless chains and also restrained the various pseudo-venerables, including Fang Yuan. It was already at its limits. Right now, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable suddenly made his move, allowing the chains of limitless to break free from the starry paths, thus causing the whole star constellation chessboard formation to collapse. Star constellation Immortal Venerable coughed out blood. She had suffered a terrifying backlash. Using this chance, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable rushed forward, rapidly closing the distance between him and the crazed demon formation, star constellation. Immortal Venerable did not have time to heal her injuries. She took out that mysterious secluded domain of heaven and earth once again. This secluded domain was like a lantern and also like a bird cage. Star constellation Immortal Venerable aimed the lantern-like secluded domain of heaven and earth at Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's back and shook it lightly. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was immediately disturbed by immense emotions. His speed fell sharply. Starlight specks shot out around Star constellation Immortal Venerable as she gave chase. Bam, bam, bam. The two venerables fought. Storms blew from the aftershock. The world shook intensely. Fortunately, this was the void. Otherwise, nothing would be left. The two venerables held each other back, reaching that final mountain-like large, truthful floating ice at almost the same time. The two venerables suddenly stopped. Their expressions were strange. Pang Shan of the three eccentrics woke up at this time. He was extremely fat before, but was now skinny, as if all his essence had been drained. What happened? Why are there still no eternal life results? We were just a little short. But we don't have any strength left. Pang Shan's gaze was dim. He was not in the right condition. He seemed to have become crazy, murmuring to himself. His voice awakened the other two immortals. Secret Schemer's expression was unsightly. He was slumped on the ground and was barely able to cup his fists towards the two venerables. Venerables, the eternal life research results are just lacking a step. No, half a step. As long as either of you activate practice goo for a little while, this truthful floating ice will be carved successfully. The two venerables were silent. This final truthful floating ice was not a small matter. Whoever went in would not be able to come out for some time. If they wanted to come out, they needed to completely carve this truthful floating ice. But was it that easy? The 8th layer was destroyed. There were no more great worlds to provide fuel and clues to the crazed demon formation. That was to say, they needed to contribute their own strength to carve this truthful floating ice. The contribution amount was very crucial. If they needed to contribute too much, even if the venerable who entered the truthful floating ice held the lead, their battle strength would fall. Finally, they might play into the hands of the other venerable who was in a perfect state, be it star constellation Immortal Venerable or Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. They both had scruples. They stood silently for some time on the other side. The fight between the pseudo-venerables and Heavenly Court Goo Immortals was still continuing. Duke Tong, don't you like stopping me? Demon Immortal Chi Ju smiled fiercely as he pointed with his finger. Boom, boom, boom. Chi spheres burst. Duke Tong exploded into pieces with not even a bone remaining. Endless spears. Che Wei shouted. Countless spears shot out from around him like a dense forest. Luayin charged through the spear forest and grabbed a yellowish-brown giant hand flew out and grabbed Che Wei. Without star constellation chessboard formation, even if you have unparalleled talent, how can you block me? Lu Weiyin sighed. The yellowish-brown giant hand clenched, forcefully pressing Che Wei into meat paste. The Heavenly Court Goo Immortals were inferior to the pseudo-venerables after all. Previously, even inside star constellation chessboard formation, these Heavenly Court Goo Immortals were hard-pressed to block the pseudo-venerables. They died constantly on the battlefield. They relied on the immortal graveyard to revive and participate in the battle again, balancing their weak battle strength. Now, without star constellation chessboard formation and star constellation immortal venerable to control the overall situation, these heavenly court Gu immortals immediately got outmatched. They were slaughtered one after the other, unable to block the pseudo-venerables. Star constellation immortal venerable snorted coldly when she saw this, immediately making a move to help. How could Giant Sun Immortal Venerable let go of this chance? He immediately acted to block Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. The two Venerables fought once again. Both Venerables had equal strength. Using the brief respite, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable opened his immortal aperture and let out Calamity Luck Altered at the same time. He transmitted his voice. Bing Sai Chuan, go. Calamity Luck Alter quickly charged towards the truthful floating ice. Bing Sai Chuan received Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's command and flew into it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable snorted as she shook the lantern again. Calamity Luck Alter's movement stopped immediately. Bing Sai Chuan, who was in charge of Calamity Luck Alter, suddenly grasped his chest. He knelt down and started crying. He blamed himself endlessly, sobbing. It is all my fault. It is all my fault. I am wrong. I am to blame. If I was slightly stronger, I could have assisted Master in defeating Heavenly Court and obtaining the eternal life research results. What is the point of my life? I have let down Master. Sob, sob, sob. I should just die. Saying so, Bing Sai Chuan actually activated a killer move to kill himself. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable sighed. He endured Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's attacks while summoning Calamity Luck Alter to his side. Golden light flowed and entered Bing Sai Chuan's body and mind. With Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's help, Bing Sai Chuan broke free from the guilty emotions. His head was covered in cold sweat. He felt lingering fear. If not for Master, I would have killed myself. This is Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's method? Master has been enduring such terrifying emotional torture all along. As he thought of this, fear rose in Bing Sai Chuan's heart. His face was pale as he slumped on the ground, his body shivering intensely. He opened his mouth and breathed heavily, but still felt suffocation. His heart was filled with fear. He was scaring himself to death. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable took action and saved Bing Sai Chuan once again. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable smiled. She got a hold of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's weakness. She also bullied him for not having an excellent method to revive his subordinates. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had to avoid colliding with her. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable opened her immortal aperture, letting out Qin Ding Ling and the other immortals. These Gu immortals were killed by Lu Wei Yin's group, but had revived shortly after in the immortal graveyard. The moment these people exited Star Constellation's immortal aperture, they spread out and flew towards the truthful floating ice. Chapter 2207, Limitless Revival. Chapter 2207, Limitless Revival. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable coldly activated various methods and killed all these heavenly court members. The two venerables held each other back, exchanging moves one after the other, not letting the other's subordinates enter the truthful floating ice. The situation was at a deadlock once again. While the battle continued, a figure suddenly closed in on the truthful floating ice. It was Shun Shang, seeking death. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable shouted, golden light shooting out of his eyes. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable also attacked Shin Shang at the same time. Shin Shang shouted and quickly retreated. Paradise Earth and Lu Weiyin used all their strength to protect him. The two venerables' attacks broke past layers of defense and reached Shin Shang. Shin Shang cried out, fainting immediately from the attacks. His injuries were so terrifying that he was only lingering on a single breath. After fighting for so long, the two venerables were filled with anger and also knew the limits of the strength they could use now. Shen Shang's attempt triggered the two venerables' nerves. He was immediately attacked by both venerables. Shen Shang's miserable state caused the pseudo-venerables to feel their hearts shaking. The two venerables used action to tell them that if they wanted to fish for profits right under their eyes, this would be their outcome. The situation continued to be at a deadlock. The two venerables held each other back, their attention focused on each other. letting the pseudo-venerables watch from the sidelines. And it was an extravagant wish for the pseudo-venerables to try to charge into the truthful floating ice. Once they showed any movements, they would be attacked by both venerables. After Xinshang's attempt, Paradise Earth, Qi Ju, and others tried to grab onto opportunities during the fight between the venerables, but it was all in vain. Liu Yin was heavily injured, while Paradise Earth was lightly injured and was panting heavily. Soon, Xinshang woke up. His injuries were severe and were difficult to heal in a short period of time. When Demon Immortal Qi Ju noticed something wrong, he immediately retreated and gave up on the chance. Thus, his condition was quite good. As for Fang Yuan, he did not make many moves. He just observed the fight while saving his aperture. He had finally resolved the black fire, but he paid an astronomical price. Inside the sovereign immortal aperture, every large and small resource point was damaged. Danghun Mountain and Luopo Valley were burned by black fire. They were in a ruined state. Many immortal Gu were also destroyed by the black fire. Even more Gu immortals died. 60% of the Gu immortals were dead, including the old combat beast king. Fang Yuan was almost back to his original state due to this tribulation. His foundation had fallen by 70 to 80%. Only 20% of my immortal essence is remaining. Fang Yuan inwardly calculated. He had time path methods to accelerate the immortal essence production, as well as the help of heavenly essence treasure Imperial Lotus. But his expenditure was too huge, let alone the immortal essence expenditure when constructing resource points and refining immortal Gu. Just the repeated large battles caused the immortal essence reserves to fall sharply. Fang Yuan's calculations were of no use. He had no room to save them. Using just 20% of his immortal essence to face the two venerables who were in their optimum states was extremely dangerous. Boom, boom, boom. The two venerables attacked. The power of their killer moves continued to increase, surpassing the previous limit. The crazed demon formation was continuing to operate. Limitless chains emerged out of thin air and shot towards the two venerables. The two venerables blocked limitless chains while attacking even more fiercely. At first, the two venerables were rather restrained. But as the stalemate continued, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable broke the limit and triggered limitless chains. He defended against the chains while attacking Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, quickly gaining the upper hand. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was forced to raise the power of her killer move as well to deal with Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Like this, she also provoked the attacks of limitless chains. The situation was gradually going out of control. The two venerables fought and competed fiercely with each other, gradually using stronger killer moves. At first, there were only hundreds of chains, but soon, the number increased by several times as they mixed into the venerables' fight. The pseudo-venerables had to retreat again and again, almost forced to the edge of the ninth layer. The two venerables are really going all out. No, more accurately speaking, they have no way to hold back. Even though they are aware that this is not optimal, they cannot do anything about it. The vicious competition has already started. What should we do? We won't be able to hold on for long if this continues. So this is a venerable's true strength. Us pseudo-venerables don't even have the qualifications to observe the battle closely. These pseudo-venerables conversed. Paradise Earth looked at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan, do you have a good plan? Fang Yuan's face was pale. His aura was extremely weak. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. However, a change occurred right at this moment. The two venerables' killer moves collided and exploded, but the leftover power of the moves hit the truthful floating ice. The truthful floating ice was heavily damaged. Crack, crack, countless cracks appeared on the floating ice. The three eccentrics were also heavily injured. Pang Shan even died immediately. Floating ice, the floating ice. Secret Schemer coughed blood, but was still shouting in worry. His face was twisted. There was not even a slight bearing of a wisdom path Gu Immortal. What are you doing? You idiots. These are the eternal life research results. We just need a person to continue activating practice Gu. But you are actually destroying it. Not Immortal hit his chest and stamped his foot, scolding and pointing at the two venerables. He had fallen into a hysterical frenzy. The pseudo-venerables' expressions looked unsightly, but the two venerables did not listen. The damage to the eternal life research results shook their hearts. But they could not stop.The. Why now? The battle had come to such a state that whoever stopped would be suppressed by the other side. They would suffer a huge loss. The two venerables had equal strength. Once one side suffered a huge loss, it would influence victory and defeat. The victory and defeat here was not just about eternal life research results, but also the overall situation of the 5 regions. Be it Giant Sun Immortal Venerable or Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, the winner would influence longevity heavens and heavenly court's prestige, even determining who the 5 regions would come under. Naturally, retreating might be an option too, but if one retreated, the other side would quickly interfere and obtain the eternal life research results. They could just send someone to complete the final step and obtain the eternal life research results. Thus, they could not retreat. Although some of the eternal life research results were destroyed, the main part was still there. But if they continued to fight like this without anyone willing to retreat, if they were unable to determine victory or defeat, the eternal life research results might really be completely destroyed. The two venerables were naturally aware of this, but they could not step back. Even if everything was destroyed in the end and no one obtained it, it was still better than letting the enemy obtain it. Fang Yuan. Under such a situation, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable suddenly shouted, "Heavenly Court is our common enemy. Lend me a hand. I will split the eternal life research results with you, just like primordial domain." The immortals were astonished. Not long ago, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had been trying to kill Fang Yuan. But now, he actually took the initiative to request for an alliance. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was actually so shameless. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable reacted immediately, shouting, "Fang Yuan, Heavenly Court always had the intention of recruiting you. We had tried to recruit you in the past. Now that Fate Goo is destroyed, why can't our sides join hands?" All the immortals were astonished once again. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable acted like this. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable also did the same. Did all venerables behave like this? But soon, the immortals accepted this seemingly absurd fact that a venerable's strength surpassed pseudo-venerables. But Fang Yuan was different. Not long ago, the two venerables had joined hands to attack him, but he held on to his last breath. Currently, the two venerables were in a stalemate. Fang Yuan had enough strength to participate. Whichever side he joined, the other side would immediately fall into a disadvantageous position. Just based on the current situation, a slight disadvantage might be enough to decide victory and defeat. Even if the venerables still had spare strength and safety nets, if they could recruit Fang Yuan to get rid of the other side's trump cards, there would be no loss. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. "Venerables, you both have good plans. It is not impossible to get my help, but can you pay the price?" Fang Yuan had no fear. His aura had fallen to rock bottom. The tribulations had ruined his sovereign immortal aperture, but the situation was already different. No venerable was foolish enough to find trouble with him, because it was not worth it. Even if the two venerables joined hands again, Fang Yuan was not tied down by the black fire tribulation. He could hold on for some time. What's more, it was impossible for the two venerables to join hands anymore. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable fell out with Fang Yuan, but he took the initiative to make up for it. It was because Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was strong and Fang Yuan was weak. The similar reason applied to the relationship between Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and Fang Yuan. Despite Fang Yuan's and Heavenly Court's deep enmity, with the eternal life research results right in front, they could work together indeed. Why not? Fang Yuan was never a person who was blinded by emotions, but the falling out between the two venerables could not be easily patched. They were extremely wary of each other. They would only work together if an even stronger force appeared, in which they believed it was more advantageous to do so. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable smiled. "Fang Yuan, I can give you all of my primordial domain." Star Constellation Immortal Venerable bid right after. "I can also give all of my primordial domain to you. We can also transact my wisdom path true inheritance and Genesis Lotus would path true inheritance." "Not only you, Fang Yuan. This invitation goes to Paradise Earth, Lu Wei-yin, Shun Shang, Qi Ju, and everyone as well. My heavenly court's bearing is known to all. I am willing to swear in the name of Star Constellation." Crack crack. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had yet to finish speaking when everyone heard a crisp sound. Secret schemer and not immortal stared at the truthful floating ice with wide eyes. Cracks spread and filled the truthful floating ice. Did that attack from earlier completely destroy this truthful floating ice? Not immortal shouted while holding his head. The immortals stared at the truthful floating ice. If the truthful floating ice broke down completely, what would they be fighting for? Bam! At the next moment, a soft sound rang. The truthful floating ice completely broke down. The crystal fragments flew everywhere before gradually dissipating. Only a human-shaped ice was left in the middle. The form and outline of this human-shaped ice were very vague at first, but in just a few breaths of time, it became lifelike. And in another few breaths of time, it was filled with flesh and blood. Finally, under the immortal's stupefied gaze, the human-shaped ice turned into a goo immortal. Forever been the Tao-seeking crazed demon, looking up towards life, death, and the universe. Through a million years of planning and accumulation, on this day, Limitless achieves true eternal life. This immortal recited and slowly opened his eyes. His expression was plain, but it shocked Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, and Paradise Earth. Limitless? Paradise Earth could not believe it. Limitless. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable frowned tightly. Limitless Demon Venerable, how could you revive? This is impossible. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable cried out involuntarily. Chapter 22:08 True Eternal Life. The most shocked person was Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. She had penetrated incredibly deeply into Crazed Demon Cave and Limitless Formation. Even after countless investigations, she did not notice that Limitless revival method was in this Crazed Demon Cave. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had the same investigation results as her. Precisely so, the two venerables fought so intensely earlier, but the truth was in front of them. Limitless Demon Venerable had actually managed to revive. Don't tell me. When the final piece of truthful floating ice was successfully carved, Limitless Demon Venerable revived and attained eternal life in one step. Fang Yuan was also shaken. Fang Yuan could also sense acutely that the current Limitless Demon Venerable's aura far surpassed the other two venerables. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could feel this difference even more deeply. Facing Limitless Demon Venerable, they seemed to be up against towering mountains and vast oceans. This is not in line with historical records. Did Limitless Demon Venerable really surpass the venerables and attain eternal life? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's eyes flickered with golden light. His current condition is extremely strange. His aura is so strong that even Master cannot compare to him. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable was shocked and suspicious. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable looked at each other and moved at the same time, attacking Limitless Demon Venerable with fierce methods. Limitless Demon Venerable smiled lightly. Chains flew around in a spiral, easily resolving the methods of the two venerables. The two venerables were shocked internally, but their fighting spirit soared. They launched even stronger killer moves in response. Limitless Demon Venerable only defended instead of attacking. Even after a few rounds of barraging, they did not manage to harm a hair of Limitless Demon Venerable. Limitless let out a soft sound as he waved his hands. At once, space rippled. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable retreated immediately. Paradise Earth and Fang Yuan did not dare to linger either. They quickly dodged at once, around 1,000 steps of Limitless Demon Venerable, other than not immortal and secret schemer. There was nobody else. Giant Sun had a grim expression. Star Constellation had a deep gaze that flickered with starlight. She seemed to be making deductions with her full strength. Limitless Demon Venerable smiled. I do not wish to be enemies with all of you. The fruit of eternal life has been obtained after 1,000,000 years, but I have not truly tested it yet. How do you want to test it? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable asked. Watch. Limitless Demon Venerable turned around slightly. All the immortals stared fixedly at the original spot that Limitless Demon Venerable was in. A tiny hole appeared. Through this hole, the goo immortals could see a vast sea of chaos. It seemed like black, yet it was not black. It seemed like white, yet it was not white. If one said it was light, it would be light. If one said it was darkness, it would be darkness. Almost no descriptive word in the world could accurately describe it, because chaos was just chaos after all. Chaos was the greatest calamity. You lunatic, you actually broke the world boundary again. Aren't you afraid that the entire world will be destroyed? Giant Sun Immortal Venerable called out. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable also added in with a solemn tone. Limitless, I know about your aspiration. But if you intend to go ahead with this and destroy the 5 regions and 2 heavens, even if I have to sacrifice my life alongside Heavenly Court, we will exterminate you. Both of you calm down. The hole is not big. I merely want to test the result of this eternal life. Us venerables are invincible in the world, yet we are plagued by tribulations that originate from this chaos. Of the venerables here, who has not gotten injured from the chaos? Who has not suffered an ordeal because of it? Crazed Demon Cave has been active for 1,000,000 years. There is one most clear indicator if we want to know if the eternal life obtained is successful. Saying this, Limitless Demon Venerable extended his arm into the hole. The other venerables and the various Gu immortals held their breath subconsciously, staring at him fixedly. Limitless Demon Venerable did not activate any killer move. He was using his own body to do this experiment. He was simply too daring. Even Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would never attempt this. Even though they could last for some time in the chaos, that was the result of them using their full strength to defend their bodies. If they acted like Limitless Demon Venerable, who did not put up any defense, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable would be completely obliterated with just a slight touch of the chaos. Unless they managed to cut off the body part in time. Limitless Demon Venerable placed his arm in simply like this. After a while, he pulled back his arm. His arm was pitch black. It seemed like charcoal created after a tree was completely burnt. But when he clenched his arm, the black charcoal on the surface instantly vanished into thin air, exposing a slightly smaller arm. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's mouth was wide open as he said dejectedly, "Is this the true realm of eternal life?" Star Constellation Immortal Venerable sighed to herself. "I understand why I did not deduce it now. When you created Crazed Demon Cave, you had constantly been making use of the chaos outside the world. You lunatic. Back then, Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable nearly destroyed the world. The reason was that he created a huge hole. And at the deepest part of Limitless Formation, he broke the world boundary and created a tiny hole. If there was a commotion in the Crazed Demon Formation, and this tiny hole became larger, it would be trouble. The entire Gu world might be destroyed as a result. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable called Limitless a lunatic. She was not wrong at all. For the last 1,000,000 years, the world had been on the brink of destruction. And the reason for this was Limitless Demon Venerable. Limitless Demon Venerable looked at his arm and sighed softly, replying Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. In my previous life, I had already reached the end of the road. Even when I asked the Heavenly Tao, there was no possibility of eternal life. I was pitifully restrained by fate Gu. After searching long and hard, through laborious planning, I designed this Crazed Demon Cave. I simply had no other choice but to use this method. But to play safe, I involved Heavenly Court in this. With you guys around, even if a problem occurred in the Crazed Demon Formation and the hole got larger, you would do your best to fix it." Hearing this, how could Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's expression possibly be amicable? She realized now that the reason why Limitless Demon Venerable drew her into the gamble was not just because he needed her wisdom path attainment or Heavenly Court's strength to derive new Heaven Path research results. The deeper intention was to bring in Heavenly Court's involvement as an assurance if Crazed Demon Cave became a problem. Heavenly Court would have to clean up after Limitless Demon Venerable. But because of Heavenly Court's perspective, they would spare no expense in repairing it. They would be willing to do so in fact. But, Limitless Demon Venerable added, "This is still not at the level of eternal life. Don't you think so too, Paradise Earth?" Paradise Earth nodded slowly and expressionlessly. Fang Yuan had some sort of realization. The true realm of eternal life would be complete indestructibility against the chaos. Limitless Demon Venerable had clearly not reached that stage yet. "Just a bit more. I am lacking by just a bit." Limitless Demon Venerable continued to shake his head. Sighing deeply, he turned his gaze towards demon immortal Qiju. Qiju, Qiju, can you lend me a hand? Demon immortal Qiju snorted coldly. Why must I help you? Limitless demon venerable took out practice goo, smiling. This immortal goo was prepared for you to begin with. Qiju, for this moment, I have already waited for you for over 1,000,000 years. Demon immortal Qiju laughed loudly until tears flowed out. So my revival was really part of your schemes. Ha ha ha. Too laughable, simply too laughable. This is so disappointing, so disappointing. He was not mocking limitless demon venerable. He was laughing at himself. He had always felt resentful and unresigned after losing to limitless demon venerable. After revival, he had always wanted to take revenge, but at this moment, he finally understood the huge gap between him and limitless demon venerable. Limitless demon venerable was quiet as he watched demon immortal Qiju cry and laugh. Afterwards, he tossed practice goo to the latter. Demon immortal Qiju had a complex expression at this moment. He recalled the scene of the deepest memory he had. Limitless, you want to become a venerable, but did you ask me? With me around, you can dream on about becoming a venerable. Demon immortal Qiju sneak attacked limitless demon venerable and succeeded, because he knew that once limitless became a venerable, he would no longer have a chance of winning. This battle lasted 9 days and nights. Thereafter, demon immortal Qiju lost. His eyes were blood red as he called out to limitless demon venerable. You have passed the tribulation long ago and became a venerable already. Why did you seal your own cultivation level to fight to the death with me? Limitless demon venerable was bathed in blood. He had struggled at death's doors several times during the intense battle that he smiled lightly. Because you are my Tao guardian. Only when I am at the brink of death can I understand the true relationship between a venerable and their Tao guardian. And the truth has been proven. My guess was not wrong after all. I have already comprehended the secret behind the Tao guardian. Demon immortal Qiju stared with wide eyes. To prove such a guess, you even disregarded your own life? Even though you had already become a venerable, even though you are already invincible in the world. Limitless demon venerable replied plainly. Even though I became a venerable, this is merely another cultivation level. Compared to this, I would prefer to pursue the great Tao. Limitless, oh limitless. Even 1,000,000 years cannot change your nature. You are still that limitless I know. Demon immortal Qiju pointed at demon immortal Qiju and shouted. Limitless demon venerable smiled. Like how I am still limitless, you are also still that demon immortal Qiju, right? Demon immortal Qiju gritted his teeth. He seemed to have become too helpless to rage. He grabbed practice goo and flew towards limitless demon venerable. You are right. I am still me. Then let's do it. Bright light flashed in limitless demon venerable's eyes. Good. You are my Tao guardian. Our destinies are intertwined. According to my deduction, only with the help of the Tao guardian can a venerable go one step further to break through the realm of venerable and attain eternal life. Demon immortal Qiju gritted his teeth. Then let me see what is true eternity. Saying so, he activated practice goo. The light of practice goo enveloped limitless demon venerable's entire body. Limitless demon venerable's body expanded rapidly. He went from a normal person's size to a 10-foot giant. In contrast, demon immortal Qiju became weaker and weaker. His aura fell to rock bottom. He had no choice but to stop using practice gu.as for limitless demon venerable's aura. It was completely concealed, no different from an ordinary mortal. But anyone could tell that the current limitless demon venerable had become powerful to a point which nobody could fathom. Because even against the investigative killer moves of the various immortals, he was no different than a common man. The immortals could not see through him. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Paradise Earth, and the others did not move. They watched in anticipation. Even if they wanted to stop him, it would be too difficult. Limitless Demon Venerable took in a deep breath before stretching his arm into the hole of the world boundary again. A moment later, he pulled back his arm. It was completely intact. Chapter 2209, Limitless Death. Chapter 2209, Limitless Death. Everyone was silent. Even for Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. After seeing limitless demon venerable's intact arm, they fell into extreme shock. After a Gu cultivator became an immortal, they would face earthly calamities, heavenly tribulations, grand tribulations, and myriad tribulations. After becoming rank 9, the calamities and tribulations would become even more terrifying. Venerables faced a grand tribulation every 10 years, a myriad tribulation every 50 years, and a chaotic disaster every 100 years. This chaotic disaster originated from the chaos outside the world boundary. Each time it arrived, the Venerable's life would be in danger. They had to use their full strength to fight for a chance of survival. Ordinary Gu immortals did not know this, but all the past. Venerables had gone through these terrifying chaotic disasters. They knew about the terror of this tribulation. And now, limitless demon Venerable tested it with his own body. Without even using any defensive methods, he resisted the chaos and returned unharmed. This scene was a huge shock to the present Venerables, as for people like Fang Yuan who knew the details while not having experienced them personally. His shock was not as great as the Venerables. You did it. A while later, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable sighed deeply and said, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable remained silent. No, he hasn't. This is not true eternal life yet. Paradise Earth suddenly spoke. He had a tone and expression of certainty. Everyone looked towards him. Indeed, I have not. This is not considered eternal life. At the next moment, Limitless Demon Venerable agreed with the words as he showed an expression of dejectedness. Next, he made a shocking move. He opened his mouth towards the whole of the world boundary and started to suck, and a large amount of chaos was sucked into Limitless Demon Venerable's stomach. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable watched with contracted pupils. They could not help but take in a deep breath. If a Venerable was considered a child, the chaos would be fire. Earlier, when Limitless Demon Venerable placed his hand into the chaos, he was roasting his flesh with the fire. But now, he was even more daring. He was swallowing fire. After Limitless Demon Venerable sucked in a large amount of chaos, he sat down in a cross-legged fashion at the same time. Chaos seeped out of the hole and rushed towards his head, shoulders, and body like a flowing river. Limitless Demon Venerable activated his killer move for the first time. An immensely strong aura burst out and shook the minds of all the immortals present. Everyone watched silently. They knew that Limitless Demon Venerable was currently giving it a try. This was an advancement. He was trying to advance to the true realm of eternal life. Ever since he was a child, he had maintained a heart of curiosity. He was like an innocent child who was filled with desire to explore the unknown, that he wanted to know everything. He wanted to know the truth. He did not pursue fame or fortune. The status of a venerable did not make him feel any pride or arrogance. He had once reached the peak of the world, the end of heaven and earth. But he still wanted to continue moving. Yet, there was no road ahead of him. Thus, he planned meticulously and worked with Star Constellation, dragging the entire Gu cultivation world along with his dangerous plan of creating the crazed demon formation. He prepared for 1,000,000 years just for this moment. All of it was to pursue the truth. No road remained ahead of him. Thus, he moved his legs and exerted all his strength to step into the boundless darkness. He wanted to carve out his own road. This was the final push. Limitless was doing his best. A long time passed, but it felt like an instant. Whoosh, black fire started to spew out of Limitless Demon Venerable's nose and ears. The immortals' hearts shook. Next, Limitless Demon Venerable opened his eyes slowly and looked at the immortals, saying plainly, I failed. No, I am still around. Demon Immortal Chi-Ju shouted and made his move. Using all his strength to activate practice, Gu a wave of profound light shot towards Limitless Demon Venerable's body from Demon Immortal Chi-Ju. The black fire on Limitless Demon Venerable was quickly extinguished. Limitless Demon Venerable gained some time to rest. He laughed loudly and shook his head. Chi-Ju, you can stop now. How can we determine the result before putting in all our effort? Demon Immortal Chi-Ju rebuked in anger. Are you willing to give up like this? The true eternal life. I want to see it too. Demon Venerable sighed. A complex expression could be seen on his face. I failed even after 1,000,000 years of accumulation. Don't you get it? Eternal life does not exist. At the next moment, bam, limitless demon venerable shattered abruptly, turning back into countless fragments of truthful floating ice. No. Secret schemer and not immortal screamed in unison, grieving like they had lost their loved one. Limitless demon venerable failed, because demon immortal Chi-Ju had too close of a connection with him. The chaos instantly approached him. As it swept past him, he vanished without a trace. The great pseudo-venerable did not even manage to last 3 breaths of time. The power of the terrifying chaotic disaster was evident with one glance. The immortals were still in a daze. This battle in crazed demon cave that took 1,000,000 years of accumulation, and also all the venerables planning ended like this. Star constellation immortal venerable revived. Giant sun immortal venerable also revived. Paradise earth changed to cultivating heaven path, while spectral soul demon venerable lost his reasoning. In the end, limitless demon venerable suppressed everyone in strength, but he still failed to succeed. He died. He died on the road of exploration. Eternal life? It was a mere dream. There was nothing. It did not exist. How could he fail? How could he fail? Not immortal shouted. Secret schemer held his head and muttered dejectedly. There is no eternal life. Hee. There is no eternal life. Hee. He had gone insane. Does eternal life really not exist in this world? Venerable is the limit. There is no road ahead. Star constellation immortal venerable muttered to herself. She had asked the question that all the immortals were wondering, but nobody could answer it. Limitless demon venerable might be the most qualified in this aspect, since he had already surpassed everyone else by a huge margin. But he had died. It failed that he died from the chaotic disaster, using his life. It seemed like he exposed a cruel truth to the immortals. Whoosh! Right at this moment, the sound of wind could be heard. Fang Yuan suddenly made his move, snatching a piece of the truthful floating ice. The immortals were instantly jolted awake. Limitless demon venerable died and turned into pieces of truthful floating ice. Most of the truthful floating ice had been destroyed in the chaos, but a small portion remained. The chaos could not do anything to them. They were the eternal life results derived by limitless crazed demon formation. They were definitely the essence of his hard work. Limitless demon venerable died, but his 1,000,000 years of hard work had not gone down the drain. He left behind abundant results. Snatch them. There was nothing else to say. After the immortals reacted, they attacked almost at the same time. Rumble. A large number of killer moves were activated, colliding into each other and exploding loudly. Heaven shook and the earth cracked. Not immortal and secret schemer did not even manage to make a sound before they died on the spot. But the remaining pieces of the truthful floating ice were intact and still shining radiantly. This was expected. Even the chaotic disaster could do nothing to them. Venerables and pseudo-venerables were also unable to damage them with their killer moves. Rumble. The scene was chaotic. Killer moves influenced each other as the immortals restrained one another. Get lost. Giant sun immortal venerable shouted angrily. Golden light surged in the sky, exploding fiercely like a crashing tsunami. Everywhere it went, nothing could stop it. Fang Yuan and the other pseudo-venerables quickly dodged. The golden aurora light suddenly turned into a spiral that sucked in a piece of the truthful floating ice. Seeing this, star constellation immortal venerable snorted coldly and scattered some flying stars. Hundreds or thousands of them radiated with starlight and crashed into the golden aurora, getting mutually destroyed. As giant sun immortal venerable did not succeed. The truthful floating ice that was taken by the golden aurora was free again. It floated freely in the void. This was the largest truthful floating ice. All of the remaining truthful floating ice fragments were merely its size after being added up. Giant sun immortal venerable was attempting to take away half of this eternal life result that took 1,000,000 years to nurture. How could that happen? Star constellation immortal venerable would not allow him to succeed. Star constellation immortal venerables and giant sun immortal venerables' gazes were locked onto each other. Right at this time, Lu Weiyin suddenly made a move, targeting the small truthful floating ice fragment that was closest to him. Star constellation immortal venerable did not move, but starlight appeared out of nowhere, sending Lu Weiyin flying. At almost the same time, Fang Yuan was also stopped by Giant Sun Immortal. Venerable, he wanted to target the other truthful floating ices, but golden light shot down like needles, almost piercing his body. The two venerables opposed each other, but they held the same attitude towards Fang Yuan and the rest, be it star constellation Immortal Venerable or Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. They were very domineering. They did not want the truthful floating ice to end up with anyone else. Lu Yin and Fang Yuan were obstructed. At this time, the pseudo-venerables had to prepare and wait for another moment to arise when the two venerables fought again. The hole was gradually expanding. Limitless Demon Venerable had already died. Before he died, he was able to suppress the tiny hole, but after his death, the power he left behind was weakening. Even though chaos did not seep out of the hole in the world boundary anymore, that was going to happen soon. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable took a look at the hole in the world boundary. He spoke calmly to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Star Constellation, why don't we have a ceasefire again and deal with these pseudo-venerables first? We can then fix the world boundaries hole and split the truthful floating ice between ourselves. How's that? Star Constellation Immortal Venerable nodded and replied to him with her direct actions. Immediately, starlight danced around and shot everywhere, launching fatal attacks towards Fang Yuan and the other pseudo-venerables. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's killer move soon followed. Fang Yuan and the rest had to dodge everywhere. They escaped in distress. Limitless Demon Venerable died, and the crazed demon formation was destroyed. Without Limitless retaliation method, the two venerables were free to attack. Of course, they did not use their full strength, even in the current situation. The reason was that they were guarding against each other. Even so, Fang Yuan and the rest were in dangerous situations. They were often struggling in the face of death. I can't continue resisting these two venerables' power. Everyone, I'm leaving first. Fang Yuan shouted and dragged Qi-Si Ancestor along, wanting to leave the 9th layer. Paradise Earth frowned immediately. Crazed Demon Cave only had the 9th layer left now. If Fang Yuan left, the two venerables would not have the opportunity to chase him, because anyone who left would be giving the other venerable a chance. That it meant giving up the snatching of the truthful floating ice. Because next, as long as either venerable made a move to seal the 9th layer of Crazed Demon Cave, the pseudo-venerables would have trouble trying to come in again after they leave, as long as they stalled for some time. The two venerables would be able to keep away the truthful floating ice. After that, they would be able to easily deal with the pseudo-venerables. But right at this moment, the two venerables snorted coldly together. Others can leave, but you, Fang Yuan, cannot. Please leave behind the truthful floating ice that you snatched away earlier. You cannot bring this away with you. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable and Giant Sun Immortal Venerable spoke one sentence each, expressing their honest attitude. Among the Gu Immortals, Fang Yuan was the first to get a piece. Everyone else, including the two venerables, had not obtained anything yet, and Fang Yuan's piece was quite big too. It was at least 10% of the entire truthful floating ice. At this moment, the two venerables cooperated again, dealing with Fang Yuan together. Fang Yuan's expression changed. Earlier, the two venerables worked together to deal with him, but the pressure now was incomparable to before. Soon, Fang Yuan was forced to activate Reverse Flow Protection Seal again. Reverse Flow River was nearly depleted earlier, but after it was replenished during this period of time, the river water had risen slightly in Sovereign Immortal Aperture. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable and Star Constellation Immortal Venerable's killer moves were quickly reflected back to them. However, for these two venerables, Reverse Flow Protection Seal was only a slight bother. It was a mere obstacle. As long as they used skillful methods, they would be able to resolve it in some time. Chapter 2210, Paradise Earth's Death. Chapter 2210, Paradise Earth's Death. Paradise Earth, I am willing to share my truthful floating ice with you. Right now, we cannot afford to leave each other in the lurch. We must be united and work together. Fang Yuan shouted. Paradise Earth nodded. Fang Yuan, you are right. Saying so, he made his move, but he disregarded Fang Yuan. He targeted a piece of truthful floating ice. The truthful floating ice was quickly kept in Paradise Earth's immortal aperture, at the same time. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable targeted that largest truthful floating ice again. As long as he obtained this, He would be the biggest winner in this crazed demon cave situation. The two venerables were unable to defeat each other. If Giant Sun Immortal Venerable wanted to leave, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could not stop him. Don't think about it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable had a cold gaze. Bam. Killer moves collided. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable managed to repel Giant Sun Immortal Venerable again. But she could not stop Paradise Earth in time. Heaven Path Method. The Heaven Path method that Paradise Earth used to take the truthful floating ice was very profound. His aura was initially concealed to the limit. Even the two venerables could not detect it. After activation, the move was extremely fast. Even Star Constellation Immortal Venerable could not stop it in time, allowing Paradise Earth to succeed. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable sighed deeply. She took out that mysterious secluded domain of heaven and earth again. This secluded domain of heaven and earth looked like a lantern. Once Star Constellation Immortal Venerable used her killer move. She lifted the lantern and shined it on all the goo immortals. The next moment, a tsunami made of endless emotions surged into the immortals' hearts. Their expressions changed abruptly. They resisted with difficulty. Fang Yuan activated Fortitude Goo while Giant Sun Immortal Venerable instilled Immortal Essence into Familial Emotion Goo. Paradise Earth activated the killer move Emotionless Heaven and Earth instead to resolve it. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable snickered. She took out Book Mountain again. Book Mountain shined with dazzling light. All sorts of killer moves were replicated and unleashed on the Goo Immortals. There was Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's method, Chi Si Ancestors and Demon Immortal Chi Ju's killer moves, Paradise Earth's killer move, and even Limitless Demon Venerable's method. At this moment, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable finally unleashed her full strength, using the two killer moves with these two secluded domains of heaven and earth as the cores to suppress everyone that was currently present. Her expression paled immediately. The starlight specks around her dimmed. She had consumed over 10 billion thoughts to do this. They were nearly fully expended. Using this time, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable activated Book Mountain. Limitless chains flew out to grab the truthful floating ice and send it into her immortal aperture. This truthful floating ice was not the biggest one, but it contained an immortal goo. Nobody noticed this immortal goo except Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Precisely because of it, she was willing to temporarily give up the largest truthful floating ice piece and grab this smaller piece first. After collecting the immortal goo, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable immediately stopped her killer move. She stored away Book Mountain and focused on defense. Her action was very wise. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable could no longer control himself. The next moment, he shouted loudly. Golden light shot out fiercely with his retaliation. Attacks rained down harshly, forcing Star Constellation Immortal Venerable to retreat continuously. She was like a helpless floating duckweed in the storm. Using this opportunity, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable took a piece of the truthful floating ice as well. This was not the largest truthful floating ice piece, but it was the one closest to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Because he knew that he could only suppress Star Constellation Immortal Venerable for a few breaths of time, there was no time to take the largest truthful floating ice. As expected, at the next moment, Star Constellation Immortal Venerable recovered and attacked Giant Sun Immortal Venerable again. The two venerables fought intensely because they were using their full strength while trying to get the truthful floating ice pieces. They did not have the time or energy to spend on other matters. This gave the pseudo-venerables a good chance. Fang Yuan and Paradise Earth took 3 or 4 pieces each at Lu Weiyin, Xinshang, and Chi Si also obtained 1 or 2 pieces. Not long after, the truthful floating ice fragments were all taken except for that final largest piece. The two venerables had considerable injuries now. Their attempts to take it were all thwarted by the other party. The two venerables raced against time, attacking the pseudo-venerables again. This time, they fought with more motivation. After all, the pseudo-venerables all had some truthful floating ice pieces on them. Oh. While the two venerables suppressed the pseudo-venerables, they started to feel a little surprised, because Paradise Earth was displaying greater battle strength than before. Almost every breath of time, his strength grew by some extent. His aura was already inching closer to the level of a rank 9 venerable now. Star constellation Immortal Venerable's eyes shined with bright light. So that's it. Paradise Earth, because you converted to cultivating Heaven Path, and because this truthful floating ice is closely related to Heaven Path, you can draw strength from it to raise your cultivation level. This is a brilliant method. Star constellation Immortal Venerable spoke with a tone of admiration, but her killing intent surged correspondingly as well. Earlier, when Fang Yuan asked for help, Paradise Earth ignored him to snatch that truthful floating ice. So this was the reason. Evidently, as long as he could get sufficient truthful floating ice pieces, Paradise Earth would be able to alleviate the flaw of being prematurely revived and become a venerable again. And this time, he would not be an Earth Path venerable, but, most uniquely, a Heaven Path venerable. Once Paradise Earth became a Heaven Path venerable, his strength would likely rise up to the top of the world. Star constellation Immortal Venerable and Giant Sun Immortal Venerable were not going to sit around and watch this happen. Fate Gu had been destroyed. The entire world was pretty much ruled by them. Nobody would want to see the return of Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable, especially when this Paradise Earth Immortal Venerable would have far greater strength than them. There was no communication. The two venerables worked together for the third time. This time, they gave up on Fang Yuan, focusing on Paradise Earth instead. Paradise Earth activated Heaven Path Killer moves consecutively to block the two venerables' attacks. But soon, he showed signs of being unable to continue. Even though the Heaven Path methods were vast and profound, the two venerables had greater strength now. Paradise Earth fell into a life-and-death crisis. He shouted at the rest, "Please lend me a hand." Lu Weiyin and Shunshang hesitated for a moment before tossing their truthful floating ice pieces into Treasure Yellow Heaven at almost the same time. Paradise Earth took the truthful floating ices from Treasure Yellow Heaven and quickly used them to raise his cultivation level. His aura grew once more. He was only inches away from reaching venerable level. "I am only one step away, Fang Yuan." Paradise Earth transmitted urgently. Fang Yuan snickered. "I can give you the truthful floating ice, but Paradise Earth, can you pay a sufficient price that will satisfy me?" Paradise Earth gritted his teeth. He immediately sent the Northern Plains Paradise Earth True Inheritance into Treasure Yellow Heaven, along with all sorts of Heaven Path Killer moves, and his own Heaven Path cultivation experiences. Of course, the most important thing was the alliance agreement that to get the most crucial truthful floating ice. Paradise Earth made a huge concession. Fang Yuan placed a small piece of the truthful floating ice into Treasure Yellow Heaven. The two quickly made the transaction. "Haha, Paradise Earth, you can have the final truthful floating ice pieces too." After the transaction was done, Fang Yuan shouted loudly. Paradise Earth's heart shook. Indeed, at the next moment, both venerables erupted with killer moves surrounding Paradise Earth, barraging him with attacks. Star constellation Immortal Venerable raised the lantern high up. Endless emotions assaulted his heart. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable grabbed with his hands continuously, attacking Paradise Earth's luck. Paradise Earth was covered in terrifying injuries. He was like a mortal hanging on a cliff, moments away from dying. Xinshang, Lu Weiyin, and even Fang Yuan and Qi Si Ancestor attacked from afar, using killer moves to try to help out Paradise Earth. But it was no use. Paradise Earth gritted his teeth, struggling desperately. The truthful floating ice melted gradually, helping him to push to the level of a venerable once again. But at the crucial moment, Paradise Earth's killer move had a peculiar mistake. The killer move failed and the backlash triggered. Paradise Earth's cultivation level was stuck at the final step. The two venerables' attacks arrived and instantly engulfed Paradise Earth. "Quickly save him!" Lu Weiyin shouted and was the first to move. The other pseudo-venerables' hearts jumped too as they took action. The two venerables were not willing to see Paradise Earth getting saved. They chased after him too. The pseudo-venerables used all their strengths and disregarded their own danger, managing to block Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's attacks with great difficulty. But Star Constellation Immortal Venerable Starlight still hit Paradise Earth's body. Paradise Earth shouted loudly. Veins bulged on his face as he used all his strength to activate a killer move. With his defensive killer move broken, His body became covered in countless holes that were ravaged by the starlight. But his healing method was still effective. Paradise Earth was forcefully holding on to his last breath, this time. Qi Si made a move, shielding Fang Yuan, who quickly got closer to Paradise Earth's side. Fang Yuan, Lu Wei-yin, and Shen Shang jolted. The light of hope shined in their eyes. The two venerables' expressions sank slightly. Right as Fang Yuan was about to save Paradise Earth, boom! Fang Yuan's palm slammed onto Paradise Earth's back and penetrated his chest. Paradise Earth was already at his last breath. Fang Yuan's attack was the fatal blow that he could not endure the moment before his death. Paradise Earth's eyes stared wide as he grabbed Fang Yuan's hand. Paradise Earth, rest in peace. Fang Yuan smiled lightly. The next moment, Paradise Earth's dwindling aura dissipated entirely. He died with eyes wide open. The entire scene shook. The two venerables looked at Fang Yuan with peculiar expressions. Lu Wei-yin's lips were trembling. He broke the silence and shouted in a hoarse voice. Fang Yuan, what have you done? Fang Yuan, this, Shen Shang's eyeballs were almost going to pop out. Qi Si ancestor stopped beside Fang Yuan's main body, showing a strange expression as well. Everyone knew that in this situation, with two unrivaled venerables, Paradise Earth was their only hope of resisting them. But the one who killed this hope was not the two venerables, but Fang Yuan himself. Was Fang Yuan crazy? He actually did something like this. It was too absurd. Something's not right. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable muttered to himself. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable frowned slightly as well, but did not speak. The two venerables saw that Fang Yuan was keeping away Paradise Earth's corpse into sovereign immortal aperture so calmly. They sensed a slight change in the atmosphere. Fang Yuan, how are we going to get out of this? Shen Shang asked anxiously. Without Lord Paradise Earth, how can we resist the two venerables? Lu Wei-yin was stomping his feet and staring at Fang Yuan angrily. Fang Yuan smiled plainly. It is simple. Wouldn't it be fine if I am a venerable? Saying so, he no longer concealed his aura, exposing it at this moment. Rank 9 cultivation level. At once, the entire battlefield went silent. Mere tricks. Star Constellation Immortal Venerable snorted coldly. Starlight flowed like water as it surged towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan breathed out lightly. A chi tide poured out and blocked all the starlight at the other end. Giant Sun Immortal Venerable also tried to probe. Golden needles shot down like a torrential rain. Fang Yuan waved his hand. Red aurora filled the sky, incinerating all of the golden needles. The pupils of the two venerables shrank. Lu Wei-yin, Shen Shang, and even Fang Yuan's clone, Qi Si ancestor, were tongue-tied. Even against the attacks of the two venerables, Fang Yuan blocked them perfectly. He displayed genuine rank 9 cultivation level. Did he really become a venerable?